Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. Another opportunity for greatness. Good morning. Shout out to Kirthana, SMK, Prabhu, OG Trade. Y'all really welcome back to the channel, y'all. We've got some cool stuff cooking today. My chart is also breaking, which is awesome. We love that. We might have to reopen this thing up. Let's see. We'll just use this window. Sure. Sure. So we have essentially done like this bear flag consolidation into the shelf below. What's up? Take a risk. Sony Waterford, Conquistador. So I had the shelf lower, really from Monday's stream, right? So there's a few things. One, we have this trend line above us, right? Very obvious trend line that we held. We started to actually make space away from it, which I want you guys to pay attention to. Rejecting intraday session POCs, and overall just bearishness lower. Okay, so we had a few macro levels to the downside that we could look to as targets. We had this 23,421, which it reached out to on that first touch, right? This level has been incredibly powerful. Okay, came down, did that first touch, punched through it, whipsawed around it, and now we're doing another leg lower. ES has kind of this bear flag lower. So ES, I would look for it to take out this low here, 63.87. Okay, we are in this node. So we essentially punched into this node, right? That was at the top of the shelf. So you can see we hit the top of the shelf. We had a first touch reaction, right? It whipsawed around the edge and then it punched into it, right? So now we're traversing this node. Essentially, you can see here, other side of the node coincidentally also has these prior lows. And so my downside target for today would be 63.87. Right there. Okay. This was yesterday's downside target, right? Still top of the shelf. Okay, and this level up here is irrelevant, so we'll take it off the chart. Got some weekly lows down there. The shelf got kissed already, and that one got taken out. This level is irrelevant as well. Cool. Don't know what this alert is for. That out of here. Probably fat fingered and moved that from wherever it was supposed to be. If this does a measured move, this would give us pretty obvious downside target on the 1 hour. If we do a 1 hour measured move, essentially to this macro trend line, basically, right? So if you zoom out to the 4 hour, we have this big trend line that I've mentioned, right? 1, 2. Okay, we're coming to it. Okay, so I would expect just to come down to this trend line. The trend line is really the downside target, right? So measured move is there. It comes right to, you'll notice this measured move here comes right to the top of this next auction, this shelf here. If there's some chop here, we'll have a perfect touch of this trend line at around 1800 settlement open. Right, yeah, so that's later today, right? If it wants to time it perfectly. Otherwise, we'll just punch right into the shelf and we'll just do a trend line retest, or I could even see this 22,780. So somewhere in this zone down here is my downside target on NQ, right? Given what we have here. Upside targets. Okay, if we reject here, if it really finds a low right here, upside is going to be all the way this imbalance, probably up to 23,709. Probably not today, right? It'd be a 400-point day. It's possible. Let me check the VIX, or that'd be a 400-point move. Check the VIX. VIX is around 15. Okay, the VIX crashes back down to this 1476 level. That would give us that massive spike to the upside. But right now, we are moving lower. We've got FOMC at 2, by the way. That's what we're playing with. So lost the screen. Where did it go? Hello. Here it is. Good morning. Good morning. I need some background music. Hold up, guys. Hold up. Alrighty. Okay. So much stuff open, dude. Cool. The studio's coming along nicely. They were painting. They're almost done painting, so we are almost in there, which is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. I have never in my life built a business headquarters in the middle of America's one of the largest cities. So that's what I have going on. It's becoming more and more real, I tell you, as I move towards it. It's absolutely nuts, guys. Absolutely. Every day I wake up, I'm like, wow, I must be out of my freaking mind. Because what am I doing? What the heck am I doing? It's really the question every single day. Moving lower. We have the edge of this node right here, though, that we need to pay attention to, obviously. Okay, there's this node here. Let's get these shelves back on NQ. Something to look out for. If we get an immediate rejection at any point, okay, we are going to race back to all-time highs, right? Obviously, you got to pay in a downtrend, you're going to get strong bounces, but if you get a strong signal candle and it front runs a level, especially like if it gets close but front runs a level, I would look for a return higher. So top of the shelf here. Let's see what we do here. I am short, by the way, guys. I'm quadruple tasking here. I do have a little short on. Who else we got in the chat? Paolo. Good morning, man. Black Diamond. Good morning. Welcome. So let me actually draw up downside target here, this trend line. Okay. Trend line touch. Trend line and this low. So let's mark up this low here. We'll say PT1 lower. Okay. We're at the edge. I've boxed out this node here on ES. Okay. And we just want to be very aware that in an uptrend, we could get an aggressive bounce. Okay. And this brings us back to all-time highs. I want to see if we come to this trend line, though. I've been waiting for the third test of this trend line for a while. This trend line is kind of my uptrend line in the sand. We could puncture it a little bit, especially if we're going to puncture it around this level here. Sorry, 22,790. Okay, this is really my line in the sand, right? So the intersection of this level here, which has been a very strong support, and this trend line is really what I'm looking at for upside. Let's go to the higher time frames, though. Okay, if we go to the weekly, remember trading inside of this doji, we've far escaped it now, right? Coming lower. Okay, we've got these bars that were really just playing with here. Okay, so here's that 22,797. So a lot cleaner on the weekly to kind of see the narrative. Nothing crazy going on here, by the way. So if you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of downside, zoom out a little bit. And it's not too crazy, right? So very big weekly range here that we're still just inside of. We are inside of the relative range on the weekly, okay? Playing inside this level here. All reasonable. If we crack this, be significant. We haven't, okay? These two weekly bars, all right, these two here and here, really show what's possible inside this range here, okay? So the magnitude of this bar hasn't exceeded these, so still just in kind of the current market meta conditions, in my opinion. Within the normal realm of possibilities, right? So here comes that measured move, pushing. Just got to the edge of that shelf, a little bottom looking here at the edge of it. Let's see what happens. Get a phone call. Oh, I got to call him back. Quad, good morning. AB, good morning. Good morning, people. Pushing lower. I do wish I shorted earlier, but I'm up about 200 points. I'm not too mad about it. I'll take it. I did cut my swing long as well. So let me show you guys the math on this. My swing long was at 860, which I'll mark with a green line here. So this was my long entry. Okay. At maximum EV, I was up about 1,200 points. Let me show you where I was up. So up about here. Okay, I cut it once I swapped right around here. So I ended up getting about 590 out of it. And I'm up another 2. So about 800 points on this cycle. Is it a perfect play? No. But I'm still up 800 points. And that's fine. It doesn't really matter. I could have cut this sooner, but playing my playbook. And this will surprise you. Like, even though I have these big swings, I still am trying to, as you all should be, like fine-tune my trading and my system, right? So I'm much more interested in holding these trades and letting my thesis play out than even capturing them perfectly, guys. Even at this stage, okay? Because I know what I learned today is just going to inform my trades later. So totally cool with that. Technically, if I wanted to really stick to my plan, I could have just had a break-even stop, let this run all the way to it, but we're not going to do that. I need cash. We're burning a lot of cash right now. Coming lower, 23,000, 48.75. ES is, oh, holy smokes. Racing to that target. All right. Let's see what we get here. ES already down to it, or almost to his downside target, 63.8750. We have these prior wicks here. You'll notice I don't have the session VP on. That is intentional. Don't need it right now. I have a fast move. I'm going to cut this short once ES hits 63.87. Let's see. Let's see what happens here at the edge of this node. What an easy day, dude. I was saying on Monday, just trade the easy days. All right, we'll peel some of this off just a little bit. Wow. Easy money. Okay. Took some profits there. Notice first touch, 63.8750, right? Immediate bottom wicking. There's the edge of this, there's this little node right here. Sorry, guys, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm like taking some these contracts off. There's that little delta in the VP there. I do want to see if this is going to start to build value now that we've hit our target. So I'll add my session VP on. Let's dig down to the lower time frame. We'll go to the 1 hour, see what happens. Naked EOC there on MNQ from the 4th. On the 4 hour. Where? Oh, this one down here. It's literally my swing long entry. All right, punch through is going lower. Let's see if we can finish the rest of this trade. Jamming. A little bit of consolidation here. Good example of why you don't have to trade it perfectly, right? Just even on this late entry. It's another 300 points. Nice trade for us. Got in just after I woke up. Only got my 50-pointer. Still good. We went through it. Disregard. Cool. That's why I had my session off. I just wanted to focus on the major targets, right? The intraday session, because it had so much velocity, just wasn't relevant here in the morning, right? We're about to form this next 4-hour candle, right? Obviously going to be a high volume down candle, okay? See if we get some continuation out of that. 23,048. If my thesis from earlier, nah, we moved too soon. Yeah, so we're gonna come down to this sooner than later. From here, there's a number of possibilities. Okay, because ES is rejecting this downside target, right? We could get a move back up to like the VAL here. It could be something annoying. I mean, I was short a few contracts, so I'll say that I took some of them off. That's what I'll say, guys. You're gonna have to manage your own trades. But you can see that we are respecting this level on ES, and we are getting a little bounce here. All right, candle just closed, so this is the open of the next candle. Little reaction here. We could come all the way up to like 282. Okay, VAL, then move lower. But this is a high volume down candle, right? So a full reversal would essentially be a tweezer, right? So we get a tweezer to about 23,461, and then it would move later. So that would be an all-day thing, though, on the 4 hours. This is a 4-hour chart, right? So this would tweeze on the 4-hour if it's going to do that. Okay. But in the 30 minutes, I'm happy with capturing most of that EV with most of my size there. So we'll see how I wrap up at the end of this, but not bad by any means. What do we got? What was the signal of entry short? Good question. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour. And if you go to yesterday's session, so this was basically the setup after yesterday. This is the 3 o'clock. VP came down and it's squeezing into this 23,421 to the tick, right? So I haven't talked about this in a long time, but this is almost like this oval pattern, okay, that I look for. So we have leg 1, the oval, and it's just very obviously going to do a leg 2 for me, right? It's essentially just like a flattened out flag, essentially, but consolidating into a level is a good sign of a breakout through that level, right? So we built volume right at the front door of this level. Okay, we're knocking at the door, and we kick the door down, right? Whipsawed around this. But this 23,421, this was like the OG measured move, came before, and it's been a very, very, very strong price. So I've kept it on my charts. So that's all, just a measured move extension. But more so than the measured move extension was the fact that we had these, liquidity targets lower and the trend line lower. So once I saw that it wanted to do a leg lower, it's just like, all right, I'm trading into these, any one of these major targets lower. And it's at least a couple hundred points. The most conservative, this node here. And that's what we're looking at. Like the stream, please. Appreciate it. Hook me up. Oh. Hope all of you are doing okay this week. Another opportunity for greatness. Let's take a look at the VIX. GC. What's NVIDIA doing? Peeling off. Apple's coming to the top of this range. add a little alert here on the top of the channel on Apple. See how what open is doing today. A crazy chart. This thing went from nothing to $5. Interesting. There's that continuation. Continuation. First touch, a little bounce back. Got pretty close to ES's VAL, and now we're moving lower. Get the full juice on this. Very bearish session though. Just moving across these levels. $23,048 up next. I'm gonna have to check what options what it did, like one DTEs. It's way too late to play those, but I might take some calls at this line here. I need to find, actually, really quickly. Get rid of this. Yeah, ES's trend line is still lower. ES's trend line is much lower, right? This actual daily trend line. So we could go much lower on ES and still be in this uptrend, guys. Okay. On the daily. Look at how big some of these pullbacks are on the higher time frames, right? This is why you really, really need to be specific with what trend you're trading. Okay. Obviously, you can do both, right? You could have multiple strategies, but just be aware of the overall big picture story. We're racing across the edge of this auction here. We have some more prior lows. Go to the 4 hour. $22,048 coming up. Speaking of VIX, would you create a vid showing us how to read the VIX to apply it on our future trades options? Sure. Can do that. Can definitely do that. Something homework I want you guys to do is I want you to replay this first touch of this level. Okay. Downside target ES, downside on NQ. And notice how they both reacted at this time. It respected the level, but it's still, this is like a normal interaction, right? The 4-hour close, next one opened up a little bit, right? So what I did is I just took some contracts off, being open to the fact that we could have an intraday like tweezer. Okay, so I didn't hold my full risk, locked in some profits, and now we're getting continuation. And I'm going to hold the rest of my position down to, this lower. 23,048. See if we get it. Let's see if we get it. Also, if you're looking at the lower time frames, it's going to be really hard to hold a trade like this. So I'm just looking at the 4-hour and the 1-hour respectively here. If I was on like the 5 or something, there's no way, folks. And there's a lot of easy money on the table today. A couple hundred points, easy. Just held it short. Just move my desk. We swept this little wick here from the 6th. At any point in time today, if we don't just have a full-on down day, right, at some point we're going to get a bottom wick on today, and it's going to be a nasty bottom wick. Think about the daily candle. I want you to really think about it. So we're either going to have a full body down day, and it's going to keep going down to the end of the day, or this thing's going to bottom wick at some point, okay? And when it bottom wicks, it's going to be pretty fierce. I just want you to keep that in mind, okay? Getting close to 23,048 though. We could come all the way down to 22,914 today though. Let's take a look at the VIX. VIX just hit that 17 level here. This is a previous VIX pivot, 17. See? We've tapped it and reversed a few times. I don't know if we're going to bounce right here, though. It'd be interesting. It is rejecting a little bit. Getting some consolidation here at this level. How's everybody's trades today? We've got 29 of my favorite traders on this morning. Tuned in, locked in. Say what's up in the chat if you haven't said what's up. Only a few of you said what's up. Well, I just moved the line. Put that back. Brandon Broussard. What's up? AKA B Bruce. B Bruce. Orhill, what's up? Missed a short. It happened too fast. Yeah, it was a very bearish open. We have FOMC at 2 today. Remember that. So we're either going to get a 2 o'clock move, or as soon as they're done speaking, if it is FOMC minutes, what is it? Meeting minutes? Yeah. So we'll get a move around that time. Missed a short observation mode. There you go. Nothing special about today, guys. I promise you. So don't go chopping yourself up at the tail end of a move because you missed the beginning. It's absolutely irrelevant. Today's so irrelevant, in fact, that I bet most of you can remember the last move like this that you missed, right? If you ever feel like you're hyper-focused on with FOMO, just ask yourself, do I remember the last time this happened to me? Probably not, because you're so hyper-focused on the FOMO feeling. So just let it go. Take a deep breath. Do a little breathing exercise together. Just breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And go ahead and breathe out for 4 seconds. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold it. Exhale. And we'll do one more just to really lock in that relaxed feeling. You probably feel a little bit more relaxed. Let's do one more. 4 seconds in. Hold it. And let it go. Let that FOMO leave your body. Let all the bad habits leave your body. And all that remains, motherfucking greatness. That's right. That's right. All right, 23,048.75 coming in. SK Picard 1989. Welcome back to the best place on the freaking internet. My friend, happy to see you again. To all the lurkers, we got a third of the people to report in. To the rest of y'all, I love and appreciate you as well. Y'all really in the house. Y'all really been short since the open. Love that. Up a couple hundo points, I'm sure. That's cool. Much needed. That's right. I'll tell you guys, I've been doing a lot of therapy recently, and it has been immensely helpful. Your boy is locked up. I've got problems. But it has been very helpful. All right, very close to 23,048.75. Rajamani, good morning. Daryl, good morning. Can you talk about the significance of the previous high-low and overnight high-low? Yes, I certainly can. I certainly can, my friend. Strong bottom wicking around this level here. Okay, so we front ran it by 20 points. So here's what we have to decide. I am going to answer your question. Okay, so as traders, on any given day, oh man, damn, my camera's locked. I really want to stand up. I have a standing desk, but my camera isn't easily movable. Oh, my back. As traders, here's what we have to decide. After you've captured 80, 90% of the move you wanted to capture, here are some factual statements on any given day. The market could keep moving. So you might hit 100% of your trade, and the market could move another 50, 100 points. One of the worst things that you can do is chase instead of going to observation mode. Okay, Paolo just said himself in the chat, he missed a trade, he's in observation mode. Why? And you're like, Forrest, should I get the whole move? Yes, but trading is one of those things, it's kind of like math, okay? You got to learn addition before you learn calculus. And if you try to use it in the field before you know how to do it, it's going to be painful, right? Maybe not the best analogy. But if you weren't able to predict the entire move on a day, or the rest of the day is outside the scope of your plan, that's fine. You should be in observation mode because the market will replay itself. It will happen again. And instead of chasing on today and being in that chase mode, we all know what it feels like to be chasing trades as traders, right? We've all been there. So let's be honest with ourselves. We all know what it's like. Really strong bounce here, by the way. We all know what that feeling is. And so what we have to ask ourselves is, do I want to lose? All right, if you had a perfect trade coming down, do you want to chop your day up trying to figure out the rest of the day, or do you want to not risk the rest of the day be in observation mode, knowing that it'll happen again. You'll have a better plan for next time, and when you execute your better plan, you'll make even more money. That's how I think about trading. That's how I think about life in general, right? And so sometimes it's good to just sit back, learn, listen. Okay, pat yourself on the back for the work that you've done, right? Feel good about the work that you've done, right? And just go into observation mode. So pretty strong wicking here. I'm basically finished with this session, to be honest with you guys. It is 10:20. I got to get off in 10 minutes as well. Got to get some stuff done. So let's recap, right? We had the extension down into this level. We had kind of that oval pattern that I mentioned on the 1 hour. We whipsawed around it and we moved lower. ES hit its downside target that I was looking for. NQ front ran it a little bit, got close enough, took my short off. That's good enough. The question that I didn't answer was significance of the previous high low and overnight high low. Yes, let's talk about that. So, dude, I forgot to record my stream again. Wow, I'm an idiot. The significance of the previous session high low and overnight high low. Let's add our session markers. So high lows and POCs are really important, okay? They are where we know people have to make decisions. Let me turn my music off or change the song. It's very distracting. So why do these matter so much? Look, in this downtrend, for example, right, we have, let's call it the previous session high, right? And even like the overnight high. It's really important in holding a downtrend. Okay, so if we look at this session right here in particular, we had a pretty big range. It's squeezed. It's essentially squeezing into this level right here, by the way, right? So there's this shelf right here, which maybe in hindsight it's hard to see, but I'll show you kind of guys what I'm seeing. So we bounce off of this little level here, 23,739, and let's look what price starts to do. It comes down, it touches it again, okay? Bounces off of it a little bit. We've got this trend line higher. It front runs the trend line, squeezes back into this level. Okay, so we're like pushing into the shelf, very similar to what I said happened down here, right? We're tapping on this glass right here, right? So 1, 2, 3 touch points here on the glass. Okay, cracks the glass. And so when we're looking for entries on the short side, there's a few things that we can look for. Okay. In the uptrend, I've often mentioned previous session value area low, right? So we could use previous session value area low, or sorry, value area high in a downtrend. Okay, so here's this value area high from the 18th. Okay, we could also look at overnight highs. Okay, there's this overnight high here. There's this overnight high here. So it's one of those two. It's up to you as a trader to figure out what the current meta is, right? And so I have to ask myself, okay, if I want to trade off of an overnight high, in this downtrend, does it make sense to look for an overnight high for an entry? Well, not really, because if we came and retested this overnight high, it's probably a break in structure, right? The market would be coming all the way up to here, or in this case, okay, if we look at the actual overnight high that formed from this overnight, what day is it? It is the 20th. Okay, this overnight high here, you can see that we've been doing lower highs, and these highs, this high and this high were all overnight highs. This was an overnight high, okay? This was an intraday high, but we have an overnight high, overnight high, overnight high. So looking to short at this time frame around 2200 would be okay, right? Or just overnight in general. Value area high is a great place to short this node, right? You can see that this is a nice D shape, so you should expect this to get traversed. We traversed it, boom, right here. This is your short entry, right? This is like the best short entry, right? It's essentially looking for a traversal of this node here. We did the same thing, by the way, on this node. So we did a D shape here in this session, okay? This session, it came down, came up, and it traversed these nodes here, okay? So there's a few layers to it, but really I'm looking at overnight high, prior day high, and all of those as the places where I know people have to make decisions. Okay. The reason that they have to make decisions, for example, the reason why this level here is important is that I know that there is some amount of people who are trapped here in or positioned long here. There's two parties here, okay? From this date, okay, which is the 5th, not that long ago, somebody went short, okay? Some large fund even could have went short. Doesn't matter, okay? We can figure out how many people are short here by looking at the volume profile. We don't know who they are, but we can see how many are here. There's a big-ass node right here. Let's call a spade a spade. This spade looks like a big-ass node. So knowing that, we know that people have to make a choice here. We know that the people who are trapped short are going to become market aggressors on the long side, okay? Short trapped players will, not might, become market aggressors when we approach their entry. And I say when we approach it because not necessarily at their entry. Let's use you guys as an example. You get into a trade, you've been red for hours. You're like, oh my God, I've been red. Can I just get close to my entry? So when it gets close to your entry, some of you, you're going to get out, like not for break even. You're going to give up a few dollars, right? You're going to get out due to fear. Like, I'm not sure it's going to come all the way back. So as we approach this level, all these people are deciding if they want to get out at break even or if they're just going to get out, right? And these are all, it's not just the people at the end here are trapped short, right? All of the people who are shorting in this set of prices are trapped because the market, flew away from them, right? So that's what we're getting, all those market aggressors. And then on the other side, you have to remember, there's the people who are also very profitable. Anyone who is shorting up here is looking at the charts and you're going, huh, I know these guys are here, so they're also going to become market aggressors here. Okay. Market aggressors, by the way, the technical meaning of that is that these are people who are marketing into trades, right? This is hot liquidity, okay? There could also be limit orders here and things like that, but there's just buy-side liquidity that is going to show up at this price. We know that for a fact. So at this edge, overnight highs, prior day lows, though that is the reason why those levels are so important, and it's the reason why you'll always see interactivity at different degrees at these prices. The way that we can decide how important a price is, again, is by using the volume profile, right? And so if we add in this layer of depth at each price, right, we can see how important a shelf is. We can see here, there's a pretty big node right here, right? We bounced right off of it, okay? Now, we slice through this node, okay, which is important. So the obvious question that you should be asking is, but Forrest, why did we slice through this node? That's a great question, okay? And that is partially because we could identify that there's going to be a measured move. We raced through here, consolidated at this macro level, and we can anticipate that it was going to run lower. Obviously, it could have consolidated a bit here. It didn't. Okay, we had the 4-hour chart to let us know that that wasn't going to happen, right? So push 3 lower, took a pit stop at the next level that had confluence with a prior day low, okay? Also, if you add in ES as a little helper, okay, use the two together, and you can start to see the future. So long-winded way to answer your question, but it's a really good question. It's core to how I trade and how you all should be trading as well. Thank you so much for that breathing exercise. You're welcome. Is bear week just manipulation before FOMC? I wouldn't call it manipulation, but you're on the right track. So during these catalytic events, right, you should know that the market, like if you think of the story of people positioning, the entire market again knows FOMC is coming, so people are freaking out. They're trying to get in, get out, position around it, right? Margin requirements are going to shoot up during these tier 1 events, by the way. So anyone who's over leveraged is going to have to deleverage. Okay, they have to. This concept of people having to make decisions is really important as auction market theory traders. Okay, when margin requirements spike, span margin or intraday margin on futures spikes up, right, to full margin, all of that liquidity is going to get injected to the market of people having to delever. Okay, same with the other indices, stocks, whatever. You'll see this in stocks like meme stocks and things like that. When margin requirements fly up, it causes extra volatility. It kind of becomes cyclical because they increase margin due to the expected volatility. Because the margin requirements increase, people have to delever, which creates liquidity. and you get these very erratic few minutes in the charts. All very simple concepts, by the way, okay? If you just think about it, you guys can all arrive at these conclusions yourself. Be very observant about the market, take notes, start to dig in. This week giveaway today or Friday. We're gonna do it on Friday. Alex, welcome to the chat. Muthukumar, welcome back. I'm loving your system, but I'm brand new to journaling. Could you make a video on how to journal correctly? I'm using your free journal. Most signal trades occur after, I think you mean overnight low and, yeah, so there's 4 levels: overnight low, overnight high, prior day low, prior day high. Earlier in the session, do I notate only when it's sweeping at the time of entry or all levels previously swept in the session and currently? Since you're brand new to journaling, I want you to journal everything. I want you to just ask questions about the day. Okay, perspective is everything, guys, right? We've all been in a situation in our lives, right? You look out one window, it looks like it's raining. And you go to the other side of your house, you look out the window and the sun's shining. Okay, same day, same person, different windows. So what I want you to do is ask yourself about your own perspective. Challenge yourself. What window am I looking out of? Okay, what constraints do I have and beliefs about the market do I have due to my perspective? Okay. Over time, once you've been doing it for 30 days and things like that, you can look at the questions you're asking yourself and start to ask better questions. But it's worthwhile when you first start journaling to just notate all of it. You know, just be a scientist. You know, challenge me. Forrest says overnight high, overnight low, prior day high, prior day low. Why does he say that? Is he right? Let me see for myself. Do those levels even matter? You know? But the key with journaling is really to just have your own data that you can look back on, right? It's really useful to be able to go back to a month ago, last week, on days like today. Okay, we had very choppy, and then we had a really 2 days of a big move here. In a month, you're going to forget about this. We're going to be back in some choppy situation, and you're going to be like, man, what's going to happen next? And if you journal, you'll start to be able to see some of these things coming, right? But if you don't, you'll be like, wait, I feel like this happened before. Man, I'm about to get on earlier. 1 hour, 1 hour isn't enough. But I do need to run. I've got a busy day. Appreciate y'all. Like the stream. Join the Discord. If you're new here, we have a community. Okay, it has a free chat, so it is a premium community. There's a 1-week free trial. You absolutely don't have to pay for it. Join the free chat. Come hang out. Try out the free trial. The reason that I do this, the only reason that I do this, is because I love sharing what I know. I like talking about the things that I like with people who also like the same thing. It's the only reason I do it. And hopefully it's helpful. So I would love to interact with you guys some more. It's not just myself. Okay, there's my partner in crime, Soul, who also co-developed the system with. We've got W Dog, who's another trade coach. We've got Alan, who's a young trader. He's also a great trader, who live streams as well. So all of us take turns streaming, and we have free streams on Fridays. So whether you're a member of the Discord or not, you can hop in, and we all co-stream on Friday. So the link to that is in the description of all my videos. It's just wap.com/tradeedge, or it's in my Stand Store link. If you type that in, there's a link to the Discord as well. Nonetheless, I hope that all of you have a beautiful Wednesday. It's another opportunity to get just a little bit better. Okay, some people believe in massive action. That's totally fine. I try to do a little bit every single day. I appreciate y'all. Go consume something positive today, right? Life's hard enough. Don't make it harder. And I will see you on Friday.